It's time for Two Dudes with Attitudes, a wrestling podcast. It is your favorite podcast. It is our favorite podcast. And it's a podcast that talks about nothing but professional wrestling. I am Mr. MWO. And as always, I'm here with Mr. Shooting Star Press, or as we like to call him in the streets, SSSP. What's going
That's
on, my
right.
dude?
Don't you forget it either. Saint Shooting Star Press. I'm doing well. It's a new year. It's 2023. Happy New Year to everybody. It's going to be. I think this is going to be a big year for me on social media. I'm hoping so, and I think it's going to be a big year for us in our podcast. We've got some cool ideas. We've got some cool segments planned out. It's going to be a really good year, I think. And so just everybody keep tuning in, keep listening, keep coming back for more. We're only getting better and better, but yeah, it's going to be a big year.
I agree. I was just talking to you before we jumped on here, and I, listened to us on Apple Music or Apple, podcast or whatever you want to call it. And
Hey,
we got
look,
the
it's that
wrestling
wrestling
lady.
lady.
What's going
Yeah.
on, girl? Thanks for tuning in. That was one thing I wanted to talk about. So we forget we're not just, we're on Twitch Live and we're on YouTube Live, but at the same time, we also play on Spotify and Apple. And I was listening to us on Apple. And for one, I thought we sounded great. I thought we sounded like an actual podcast, which was something I really wanted to go for. I didn't want it to be just talking for no reason and this and that. And some podcasts like that work. And I watch a ton on Twitch that I love, that they do awesome like games and things like that. And I'm all for that. But I wanted to sound like a podcast. That's what I always wanted to do, right? Shooting star, like we're on radio, right? Like that's
Right,
our goal.
yeah.
And I thought we sounded like it. I thought we sounded good. I listened to Busted Open, then I listened to us, and I was like, hey, we, minus the fact that we're not, Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray Dudley. I mean, we sounded pretty damn good. So I was excited for us, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. As we see, our views don't go down; they continue to go up. And so I just want to say thank you for that, and appreciate you guys for wanting to continue to listen to us talk about wrestling. I thought we ended the year off right, and now I think we're gonna begin the year off with a bang, right?
I think so. It's time to we've had a good week in wrestling. We had SmackDown last week. We had Raw this past Monday. We had NXT, and WWE is off to a hot start in 2023. And I think it's time to break it down.
Let's do it. Well, I gotta say before we even do it is that all three for our WWE Wednesday edition, all three of them were good shows. I liked SmackDown, I liked Raw, and I liked NXT. So with that said, SmackDown had a lot going on. If you have been under a rock, maybe you don't know that SmackDown had a lot going on, but we had a couple returns. We had some movement in storylines and other things. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, Shooting Star Precious put up all our cool new graphics.
Yeah,
we got.
that's right.
We're improving. We're improving.
Right.
But I want to open up with Bray Wyatt. I know I continue to talk about Bray Wyatt with what he's doing. So he came out. Bray Wyatt's still talking, everyone. So he's still alive and well. He's still talking about himself and his demons and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
The same thing you've heard already.
Yeah.
But there was a difference. So one, we got some movement in him and LA Knight. Last week we talked about maybe they moved on with LA Knight because he wasn't there. But no, he came back out. He said his 15 times, and they are going to wrestle at the Rumble, which is exciting. So at least now we finally got a match. And then the lights went out, and a mysterious man came out in the dark, which you could barely see him. And he was wearing an Undertaker mask. If you remember the Undertaker when his face was busted open, I think it was his nose, and he wore like that clear kind of half mask that shows his mouth and chin. The mask kind of looked like that, right? I mean, I watched it a couple times trying to see it. This mask that the guy had on, I'm assuming it was Uncle Howdy. We're all going to go with it was Uncle Howdy. I think that was a smart decision because obviously Uncle Howdy couldn't wrestle in that gigantic Chuck E. Cheese mask. They were going to have to put him in something. But I think this does confirm that my theory has officially died out. It is not split personalities I'm going to go with. It looks like this is somebody who is part of the Wyatt Six or not the Wyatt Six, because he came out and Sister Abigail'd Bray in the middle of the ring and walked away, and LA Knight sold it like he saw dinosaurs walking on the earth again. It was like the biggest shock to him, the biggest surprise ever, but at least we got movement. I didn't think it was amazing, but I also think it was better than what we have been getting.
Yeah, I agree. At first I thought it was going to be the same old. Woe is me, Bray Wyatt coming out saying the same thing. I told you it wasn't me. and then we got some advancement, and now it looks like LA Knight and Bray Wyatt are going to have a match at the Royal Rumble, and I think that's the right call. But I'm also torn on it because again, we've talked about this before. Bray Wyatt, I don't think can afford a loss since his return in the WWE, but I also don't think LA Knight should be taking a loss this early in his new run. I mean, when he was Max Dupree, yeah, he can lose all the time. That's what he was there for. But as LA Knight, as they're trying to build him up into be this credible star, and I think they are going to build him really well. And I have a feeling he may win a title or two in 2023. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm excited that we're getting a match, and it sounds like it's going to be a pitch black match. And again, we're getting advancement, but I'm hoping that all this stuff comes to a culmination at the Royal Rumble, where we find out who Uncle Howdy is. Because I'm tired of asking the same question every week, and I think that's my biggest gripe. Is it's the same thing? Who is Uncle Howdy? Who is Bray Wyatt? Is he controlling this? Is he in charge? Is he the one running this? Is this a split personality thing? I'm tired of the same questions. I want some advancement, and it looks like we're getting some, and hopefully that'll continue.
So do you think we need to know who Uncle Howdy is, or could Uncle Howdy just be Uncle Howdy? Can he just be that person and come out and wrestle and not have to be, Bo Dallas or?
Yeah, I don't think we need to know who it is in terms of it. That's Dexter Lumis behind that mask, and that's Joe Gacy behind that mask. I don't think we need to know it in that regard. I just think we need to know, like you said, is this a split personality thing? Is this Bray controlling it all? Is this a new faction? Is this the Wyatt Six? Is this, why did they Sister Abigail Bray? At least we have a new question to ask now. Why are they going after Bray and not LA Knight? Is LA Knight just there as a pawn? Do they even care about LA Knight? Why are they torturing him? And why is he not getting why is LA Knight not getting any offense on this Uncle Howdy guy when he just tortured him 2 weeks ago, and tied him up? Just little things like that. So I don't think we necessarily need to know who Uncle Howdy is in terms of the man behind the mask, but I think we need to know who he is in terms of the character. We need to know who he is in terms of, is Bray behind this? Is he behind Bray? Who's the puppet master here?
Yeah. And I agree with you on that. We got to get some kind of closure. And I don't even know if at Rumble we're going to get a winner. I mean, it can end. We can get Alexa Bliss coming out. We can get so on and so on and so on. So we'll see where the story will go, but at least it's moving, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it is a pitch black match too. So I could see it ending with it just fading to black, Soprano style, just fading to black. And we don't know the outcome. We just hear all this stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, you liked this episode of SmackDown, apparently. I did not enjoy this episode. I know we don't talk about AEW on this show on Wednesdays. We talk about them on Fridays, and everyone go listen to last week's episode where we did our AEW year-end awards. Last Wednesday's episode, we did our WWE year-end awards, and we'll talk about AEW this coming Friday. But I thought the last show of Dynamite of 2022 blew SmackDown out of the water.
All right.
I thought SmackDown just didn't do it for me. It was a lot of bark and no bite. The Bray Wyatt segment, we got some advancement, but it still wasn't all that great. The John Cena stuff at the end, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure, that was just a complete and utter shit show, for lack of a better term, just a disaster. I thought, and then I also just some of the show just didn't seem to flow. It didn't seem to flow well. You had Ricochet getting into a backstage argument with Top Dollar, and then 2 minutes later he's running out there and helping Braun Strowman, and I don't know. I just the Charlotte Flair stuff, all of it just fell flat in my opinion.
Well, let's bring it up. So I'll just brief through it really quick of what you're talking about. So some of the things that happened, obviously we had Ronda Rousey and she defeated Raquel Rodriguez, and which I thought was a banger. I thought it was a phenomenal match. I thought it was Ronda's best match since she started to not be good again. I don't know what the hell happened to her, but that ending thing, even though when she tried to do her submission off the top rope, she kind of broke apart with it. I think Raquel tapped out when she wasn't in the submission, but she got her back in the submission. I thought it was a good thing. Charlotte Flair coming out and challenging wasn't surprising to me at all. We'll go into that, but her winning, I mean, it is what it is. I think they wanted to get the belt off Ronda. I don't think Ronda was feeling it anymore, and I think that's why she probably gave one hell of a good match to end it, and now she's going to move on with herself. But we had some good stuff with the Bloodline as well. I know that they lost at the end, which you are right. I think the only downfall of SmackDown was the end match. That Cena match was atrocious. I didn't get the match at all. They ran for about 9 to 10 minutes, which you don't advertise John Cena and hype the shit out of it and have Roman Reigns return on SmackDown. Isn't that the first time he's wrestled on SmackDown in a long time, if I believe?
It's been a while.
And you have it go like 9 minutes and you don't even have a real Roman Cena moment. And Cena wrestles for about 2 minutes and then allows Kevin Owens to get the win. It was all bizarre. I wasn't feeling it. And I know Cena can go. I'm not going to say that Cena ring rust or he's out of shape like people are saying about Bray. And so, no. Cena was in shape, ready to go. I don't know why they didn't pull the trigger. So I get where you're going with that. But other than that, like Solo beat Sheamus clean. I thought that was fire. I mean, they are building Solo Sikoa like a star. The Bloodline breakup with Sammy and Roman in the back. I mean, I thought that was that came out of nowhere. All of a sudden now it's like the Bloodline is on all cylinders. They're high-fiving and kissing in the back and slapping each other's butts. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're not jealous of me, are you, Roman? And Roman straight face. And then like, no, I'm not jealous. And then he loses that same night. That's storytelling, man. So I thought we got, excuse me, a pretty good show overall, in my opinion.
Yeah. And some of that stuff was like the Solo Sikoa Sheamus match was good. I thought the wrestling was good. It was just, to me, just a lot of the bad outweighed the good, in my opinion. So, like the Charlotte Flair stuff.
Let's hear it.
I'm not mad about it because it's Charlotte Flair, and I know there's a lot of Charlotte Flair people anti-Charlotte Flair people out there that think that she's only where she is because of her father and all that. I actually like Charlotte Flair. I'm actually digging this new character. I think her as a babyface is something we haven't really seen, and I'm curious to see where it goes. So I am excited about that. And she looked damn good in the ring the other day. So I'm not going to knock her for that. It's just, it just kind of felt forced. It came out of nowhere. I know they probably, like you said, they want to get the belt off of Ronda. But the first thing I thought of was Roxanne Perez and Mandy Rose. It was the same kind of lack of build. It felt forced, felt like it came out of nowhere. So I started looking at the dirt sheets, and I know that's bad. I should never do that. But I started looking it up to see is there any backstage heat on Ronda Rousey? Why did they have her drop the title on SmackDown? Because that's kind of how it felt. It just kind of felt all of a sudden that.
Wait, Ronda has an OnlyFans? Oh shoot, I need to let me look this up real quick. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, no, not that I know of it. Not that I've been looking that up. But no, I was just like, I just thought maybe there's some heat on her or something, and they had to get the belt off of her. I had to look it up, and I couldn't find anything. So it just felt forced. I feel like that would have been a great match to have at the Rumble, where she comes out and challenges Ronda at the Rumble and says, hey, at the Rumble, this belt comes back to me, comes back to the Queen, and then we have another great match between them. But and I also hate it because I don't think Charlotte Flair is losing this belt anytime soon. So I hate it for Raquel Rodriguez, because I feel like she's going to become an afterthought, and they've been building her up to be a credible threat to Ronda Rousey. I hate it for Shayna Baszler, because we've been wanting to see Shayna versus Ronda at WrestleMania. I know I have, where they've been building Shayna up to be a credible threat to Ronda Rousey. And again, I don't think Charlotte Flair is losing this title anytime soon. And so it just kind of, I don't know. I'm just not we talked your New Year's resolution last week when we did our resolutions was you want to see the women's division thrive in 2023. And one of my unpopular opinions in our first episode that we did this was I don't like the way Triple H is doing the women's division. And this just feels it's just wash, rinse, repeat. It's Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Bayley, and Becky Lynch all in the main title picture with Alexa Bliss as well. You're finally starting to build new people. Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, Shayna Baszler. And now they're all complete afterthoughts because the belt is back on Charlotte Flair. So that was my only gripe that I didn't like about it.
And I feel you on that. I don't want to talk too long because we got Raw and NXT and so on. But I agree with you in that sense. My thing with Charlotte Flair is that I have always been bothered that people talk about her dad so much and how she's just a copy of her father. She's not. And when I think of Charlotte Flair now, and I rarely ever think of Rick. Honestly, if you are younger than 20, you probably don't even know who Ric Flair is. So the fact that we are still, as old fans, are pretending like, Charlotte is nothing without Rick. These new fans have they don't go out and watch Ric Flair. They have and if they do know who he is, they know him as a crazy old man who just had a match recently that he shouldn't have. We act like as wrestling fans, and we're going to get into this in our segment, but we act like us wrestling fans, like everybody is just in the know. You know what I mean? Like everybody just got off, are joining us right now from watching Wrestle Kingdom 17. Like we're all just like these hardcore wrestling fans. We know every detail, every AEW guy that rips his mask off. We got to know who they are. That's not how wrestling fans are. Wrestling fans are like any other sports fan and anything. Just because you like football doesn't mean you're a Commanders fan means that you can name everybody on the LA Rams. That's not how being a fan works. You don't even have to be able to name everybody on your own team. You can like something and not be an encyclopedia for it. And I think people get that twisted with Charlotte just because she comes out and says woo and wears the robes and such. I think that's more her gimmick now than it is Rick's, to be honest, in this modern day era. But with that said, what I don't like about it is that I think Charlotte Flair has become dependent on the title. What's up, nice? That has become dependent on the heavyweight title. And that's what I don't like about Charlotte. Mm-hmm. When you look, because people, there's debates going on right now, right? Who's better? Mercedes Moné. I don't even want to get into that. I know everyone's digging it, but I was not a fan of Mercedes Moné. But anyway, Mercedes Moné and Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, right? Those are kind of the three we talk about right now in this day and age, because we don't want to bring up Britt Baker, who are like the greatest female wrestlers today, right? And everybody has Charlotte usually number one, or Sasha, or whatever else, and Becky number three. My thing is that the differences between these girls is that a Mercedes and a Becky Lynch have never had to rely on the title. Becky had the title, and she became Becky 2 belts and so on, but she doesn't have it right now, and she's the biggest female star every time she comes out. I don't like that the WWE, and I don't know if this is Charlotte or if this is booking, but they're having her be reliant on the title. This is why I never liked John Cena. I could not stand John Cena because he always had to have the title. If he didn't have the title, he was nothing. He just was a guy who was trying to get the title and then would win it eventually. And that's why he's had it umpteen times. Same thing with Charlotte. I think Charlotte is so damn talented, so great on the mic, good look, athletic ability is off the chain. She does not need to have a title all the time. Sometimes she can just be Charlotte Flair and freaking wrestle and build herself that way and get other people over. And that's my rant. I just that's what I'm worried about, is that she's going to start, Becky Lynch they had a promo quite a while ago. And I think it was Becky Lynch who said, me, I make the title something. The title makes you. It was something in that, not quote unquote, but it was something in that basically without the title, there is no Charlotte Flair. And I think that is a reality. And that's sad because she's too talented to be known as the woman who only carried the women's championship.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all that. And, it also hurts the rest of the roster too, which is another thing I'm worried about. You're trying to build new people, but if Charlotte can't hold the title, then I guess nobody else can either. So I just wasn't feeling it. And again, I do like Charlotte Flair. I'm not one of those Charlotte Flair haters. I just hated the way it was done. It just felt forced. It felt rushed. It felt unnecessary. They could have built it up for the Rumble, have some build to it, and then you go that way. But
I agree.
I am curious to see what happens to Ronda now, and Raquel Rodriguez, and Shayna Baszler, and Shotzi. Do they all go after Charlotte now? So let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And fading into, just like Rampage is doing with Dynamite over in AEW, SmackDown kind of faded right into Raw. They're kind of telling the same stories and building that. And the Bloodline opens up Monday Night Raw once again, taking it over. And I'm really digging this takeover. I like that they're kind of owning shit. And Adam Pearce finally
he must have been
acknowledged. Yes, I think he is watching the show. Finally acknowledged that, like, dude, I need to, I'm giving you guys way too many chances. I need to get this stuff under control. And I think it led to they kind of made up for that Cena defeat. I mean, now we could kind of look at Cena's match with Owens as kind of like a blip in history that it never really happened, but it did build storyline because we haven't seen Roman yet since Sammy lost. But Bloodline takes over Raw, and Solo once again gets a huge win. Not a huge win, but a win over Elias, and did an awesome rock bottom, I think it was, onto the piano, which it didn't break, so it made it look even worse. That piano, it looked brutal. Good thing Elias is jacked to the gills because he probably didn't feel it that much, but dang, it was a good thing. Solo wins, and then the Usos and Sammy defeat the Street Profits and Kevin Owens. And Ford takes the pin and Sammy gets it. So, I mean, I think it was a really good rebound for the Bloodline on Monday Night Raw. I think they had a solid night, and I think it was a good way to build them back up again.
Yeah, and they did this almost the same stuff 2 weeks ago on the last Raw, because last week's episode was a clip show of the best of 2022. So the one before that, they also took over Monday Night Raw. But the biggest thing that we talked about when that happened was they lost at the end. They lost to Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens clean. It was against the Usos, I think. And to this time on Raw, they won every match they were in. And, Solo won, and Sammy and the Usos won. So, yeah, I thought, and the one thing I do like it when WWE does little things like this, where they have a hostile takeover, and they did it before like the beginning credits or whatever, the opening sequence even finished. They hadn't even completed that yet, and so I thought that was cool. I thought that was something different that you don't see very often. It almost felt, I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, like that ended abruptly, and then I was like, oh wait, there's the Bloodline. Okay, now and they were taking over. It was really cool how it was done. And kudos to Adam Pearce. I do think he's listening to our podcast, because I went off on him a couple weeks ago because he's not doing anything, and now he sounds like he's putting the foot down, and he's gonna put the hammer down on Roman too. So yeah, I was digging the Bloodline.
I loved his backstage segment. I just had to bring it up. The fact that it was like, all right, you 20 guys.
Yeah.
You wait a minute. Let's get
one at a time.
Kevin Owens, you stand over here. Street Profits, you stand over here, and maybe Elias. Now the rest of you that don't get any wrestling time, you stand over there. I might pick you guys, but I'm gonna pick these guys. Sorry, Dolph and other people, I don't know your names. It was pretty funny. You see Mustafa Ali, he was like, pick me up.
Yeah, pick me. And and Luke Gallows was there without Carl Anderson.
He was just there to
he was just there. Dolph Ziggler was over there, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. Yeah, all that. Yeah. But no, I thought I thought it was all well done. I thought it was a good rebound, like you said, for the Bloodline, because
for sure,
the Friday night, that was Roman's first loss since the Royal Rumble last year, where he technically lost to Seth Rollins. So,
Corey Graves made sure to let the world know that was not a Roman Reigns loss. I think he brought it up about 75 times that Sammy took that loss. Yeah,
he took the loss, but it's still a Roman match.
It was.
Yeah. But one thing I did like about Raw, I know we've complained about the Bray Wyatt storyline kind of taking its time, but I love what they're doing with Alexa Bliss. I love that match with her and Bianca Belair. I thought the ending with her staring down people in the audience, and that's another question: are these people part of the Wyatt Six, or were these just fans that WWE paid to put a mask on and say stare at Alexa? Because I would take that job, and you don't have to put a mask on me to do it. I would take it, and I would do it for free. I would volunteer. But
yes, sir.
But no, it was just I love how they're telling that story. I love the slow build. I love how they're building her to go back to being that Alexa. She is a star, and I think she's somebody that WWE needs to push more. And I'm glad that this version of Alexa, the twisted, the dark side of Alexa Bliss, is back. And I liked how she walked out of the ring after her beatdown on Bianca Belair, and before the match was even over. It made her seem like she doesn't really care about the Raw Women's Championship. She's out for blood. She cares more about destruction and being evil. So I really liked what they're doing there. If you're gonna tell a story, that's how you tell it with Bray Wyatt, not with what they're doing with Uncle Howdy and Luke or LA Knight and all that stuff.
I mean, it was two sides of Bliss too, which I like, because you said about the title, but when she started the match, she was all about the title. I'm going to win this title, this and that. And at the end, because she switched, she was like, forget this title. And I like that every time the screen blinked, she went more and more like, like it's in her
Yeah.
head. I dig
Mhm.
it. I'm not always big into supernatural in wrestling because sometimes it takes you, a little too far and it's out of disbelief. You're not really buying it as much. It's too supernatural, but I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I
I
also
don't.
like that. Oops,
Was it a
sorry.
DQ? Is that what happened? They didn't
I
really ring a bell or announce
Yeah,
anything. She
well,
just
she
like
knocked
attacked the ref and
she
then.
attacked the ref, yeah, and then she just walked out. I guess technically it would be, or a count out or a DQ
Mhm.
or something, but yeah, they never rung the bell because Bianca was so hurt,
Yeah.
and she had to receive medical attention, and um, but I will say I know I've been hard on Bianca Belair in the past, but this was actually a really good match from her as well. I like that she went straight into fight mode. She got some like hard punches in on Alexa
Yeah.
Bliss in the
Yeah.
opening of the match. I liked how she just grabbed her head and Alexa was just trying to do something, and
You
Bianca
like
was
the
just
old you like the 1970s
oh yeah.
comedy act, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I like that at the beginning, but then again, then Alexa really turned it on, and she was like, "I'll show you a fight," and then
Yeah.
she went
Yeah.
at it. So
I
yeah,
give, yeah, I give Bianca a hard time as well, but she brought it, and it's never about her ability per se. I'm not the biggest fan of
it's
hers, but
the character. Yeah,
she's had the title too long. But I do like what they did with this. I liked it. I think it enhanced her just like it did Bliss. I really liked the Montez Ford part of it as well. They finally acknowledged Bianca and Ford as dating, and he came after her and walked her out, and he looked shook, and
hmm
it messed him up in his match and we didn't want to. I didn't want to talk about it yet, but that's kind of why he took the L. He didn't want to tag in. Cena was trying to tag him in, and Cena, or not Cena, sorry, Kevin
KO.
Owens, and
Yeah,
Kevin Owens literally like slapped him to like get into the ring. He just looked like he wasn't there, and people are like, "Oh, it's his heel turn." I don't think so. I think this was him. Like Alexa Bliss is so dark and twisted in this Bray thing that it's like kind of getting to him. Are we going to see Alexa Bliss and Bray versus, Bianca and Ford?
yeah,
I would be all for a Ford, and especially once Bianca drops the belt and seeing her team with her man, I would be for that. I'm a huge Ford fan, so that'll make up for my lack of love for Bianca. But I liked it. Once again, Triple H has been great with the secret storytelling, with the backstage
yes,
things going on, with the barcodes and everything else. And this was another good moment for him. I kind of want to talk about this Theory and Rollins match. I know it's a main event, and obviously you still have something else you want to bring up, but I
mhm,
have to jump into this just because not only was the match a banger, right? Because I thought it was a
always, yeah,
really good match. I wasn't surprised that Theory won. I was surprised that Theory won clean. I'm not gonna let the little ball hit. That's a clean win, man.
that happens.
He
Yeah,
pinned him in the middle of the ring. He gave him his A-Town down and pinned him. That was that. I mean, that's the end of it. I mean, Theory is gonna move on from Rollins. Where are we going with Rollins now? Is he gonna jump into the title match or the
well,
hunt or
yeah,
whatever? Probably. But wow, that shocked me. It shocked me, and I was one of the. I'm still one of the biggest Theory fans. I've been day one with him, and I was one of the ones most upset when he lost and didn't cash in, and I thought they were burying him. They have really, really tried not to. And this was the first step because I was kind of gauging this on are they taking him seriously or not? Because if he would have lost to Seth or wouldn't have had a clean victory, then maybe they're not fully invested in him. This kind of makes me know that maybe this was Triple H's plan the whole time, was to wipe what Vince did with him and let's build him the way I want to build him. And he can still be buried because it's all still up to the fans. I still don't think the fans are fully invested in Theory yet, but
mm,
this was a huge step forward. I thought this was the biggest moment of the week in wrestling for WWE as well, just because, I mean, Theory beating him clean that's a Cody Rhodes moment right there. And Theory is no Cody Rhodes. So I was all for it. I dug it. I dug it a lot.
yeah. I thought it was a really good match, and it looks like Seth Rollins might be hurt, and that knee that where his knee buckled, that looked real. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently, after the match, there's a bunch of clips going around that the ref had to go check on him, and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing the X, and that's never a
Mm-hmm.
good sign. And I'm hoping that that's part of a story from he's selling the injury from that match. But when the ref does that X, that's never a
It's
good
usually
sign.
real. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful that because he can't get hurt right now. It's Mania season. It's the Rumble. Seth Rollins has been red hot. They're already down AJ Styles with a broken ankle. That would be the worst time for him to get hurt. And Rollins is
Mhm.
amazing right now. So
Mhm.
prayers up, kudos to him. Hopefully he can get back soon, and hopefully he's just selling it. I really
Yeah.
hope he's just selling it. But um, no, I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was probably one of Theory's best matches that I've seen from start to finish. And yeah, I'm starting to dig this new side of Theory. I really am, and I still think he could have cashed in the Money in the Bank and lost, and it wouldn't have hurt. I still thought it was a
Mhm.
stupid decision for him to cash in on the U.S. Championship just to lose. But um, but hey, maybe Triple H, like you said, has a bigger plan, and he knows what he's doing a lot better than we do. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Theory, I'm all in on Theory right now. I think him and LA Knight are going to have big 2023s. I think those are Triple H's proteges, Triple H's guys, and he's gonna give them a good year. I could see one of them winning maybe King of the Ring, the other one winning Money in the Bank,
Hmm.
somebody along those lines.
All right.
So yeah, and then for me, Dexter Loomis. I'm what? I am not. I am. I love Chad Gable. Chad Gable can go. He can go with anybody. I know he's technically being kind of used as an enhancement talent right now,
Mhm.
but
Comedy.
what is
Yeah.
what is Dexter? Is Dexter Loomis a babyface? Is he a heel? Is he this deranged lunatic that escaped from the asylum that's there to beat up everybody? Is he only there because he cares about money? Why was there no speaking of money, why was there no follow-up from the Miz storyline 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
where Miz and Bronson Reed made his debut and they took out Dexter Loomis and Johnny Gargano and they won $500,000 in that ladder match? What is going on with Dexter? Like, I'm so the way Dexter Loomis debuted in the WWE when he came in through the crowd and there was that car accident in the backstage
Mhm.
and it was all that hustle and bustle going on and he was coming in through the audience and it made it look like he was coming after anybody on the roster that looked at him, like AJ Styles at first, and then he comes out and he's going after the Miz. The way he debuted was great.
Mhm.
Where he is now, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in how they've handled Dexter Loomis's character. And is he just an errand boy now for Johnny Gargano? Is Johnny Gargano kind of the Paul Bearer of the group that
Yeah.
here's the urn, here's my briefcase, you do whatever I tell you to do. Like what is I don't understand. But Dexter Loomis, I want to like him, but I just can't get behind him right now.
Yeah, I don't think they have a plan for him. I think that's just how it is. I think he's just going to be a dude
Yeah, and it's
disguised as a
unfortunate.
dude, wrestling as a dude who's
Playing another dude. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what they're doing with him. And honestly, I knew you were going to bring up Dex. As soon as I was looking at the notes, my notes from Monday Night Raw, I was like, he's going to bring up Loomis.
Oh yeah,
It's sad, and it's sad that Chad Gable has to take an L for it. I mean, I know he's a comedy act and so on, but damn, he is so smooth in the ring. His promos are great. His shush is hilarious, and him and what Otis is doing. I did like that Otis like sold the shit out of the fact that when Dexter came in and was doing like his weird like crawl thing, Otis was like freaking out, like it was like The Exorcist.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was never the biggest Loomis fan. I always liked him just because he was good at not having to speak and still, I haven't seen that done since like Kane, where you can just get over without ever talking. But they're not using him right. I don't know where they're going with him. He's not even like a mysterious guy anymore. He's just kind of like a weirdo.
He's just a guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. I'm not digging it much at all. So what can you do, right?
Yeah, but again, the way he came back, I was like, okay, I can get behind this. This guy's pretty cool. Like he's just gonna go after anybody that looks at him the wrong way, or he's just gonna make his presence known by coming in through the audience and going after random guys. And then that whole Miz storyline, an example. I know we all say we want long-term storytelling, but that dragged out way too long, and the twists and turns were just a little unnecessary. And now it's hurt him. It's hurt him in the long run because he's just another dude on the roster, and it looks like the Miz is moving on to other things. And he wasn't even on the show on Monday, and neither was Gargano. And I don't know what they're doing with him either. So yeah, it was
just make him a crew and move on with it. Like, why can't we bring back the Way? Like, just let them be the Way, and you don't need Theory in it. You can add some new people and bring Hartwell over. And I don't know why they haven't brought Hartwell over either. Well, she's not doing much in NXT. I mean, they're trying to enhance her right now. But speaking of, I mean, I think it's time to go to NXT, and Hartwell was there. But my thing, man, NXT, it could have just been one match, and I would have given this show a 10. That Carmelo Hayes
Oh
versus
yeah.
Apollo Crews match.
Mm-hmm.
Hayes is a damn star. And I'm saying right now, Braun Breaker is going to win the title next week. He's going to retain it. And we are going to get Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker at Vengeance. And Carmelo Hayes is going to have his moment. If not, then HBK, I love you. You're my wrestling god. You're my GOAT. I look up to you, everything you do. But, bro, you're going to have a big miss if you don't have Carmelo Hayes win this belt. That match was insane. That's the first time I've seen the not vet. Like, Carmelo Hayes made Cruz look good. And Cruz is good. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of made him look good in that match. Carmelo Hayes can go. It was a damn banger. That was the way you open up an NXT. And that just shows you that I'm over people saying NXT ain't good. Oh, these enhancement guys are green and this. Nah, not all of them, man. Carmelo Hayes is built different. And like he says, when he shoot, he don't miss. That match was insane.
Yeah, I love Carmelo Hayes. I like what they're doing. He's got stud written all over him. And I think if he does get called up to the main roster, I think he's another one that could have a big year in 2023 if they use him properly. And that's always a big thing, is if he's going to be used properly. But yeah, I hope he does win the title from Braun Breaker, because I'm kind of over Braun Breaker at the moment. And,
we can talk about that segment.
And yeah, I'm ready for them to move on to a new champion. And I think Carmelo Hayes would be perfect for it. He can go with anybody. He can make anybody look good. Doesn't matter what style of wrestler you are. He will adapt. He's kind of like a modern day HBK. HBK can go with anybody, and it doesn't matter if you're a big guy. It doesn't matter if you're a grappler, a submission specialist. He can go, and he'll shine, and he'll make you shine as well. So yeah, I like what they did with Carmelo.
Yes.
My one gripe with NXT, and I thought NXT was a solid show, but I'm not a fan of Kofi Kingston beating Joe Gacy.
Thank you.
I did not.
I got my shirt on, so thank you.
Yeah, I have been digging what they're doing with Schism. I love what they're doing with Ava Raine and all that stuff, especially last week when she was going after Booker T on commentary and everything. I thought that was great. This week, and they finally looked like a cohesive stable, a cohesive faction last week. And then Kofi Kingston just beats them. And I know they're trying to make the New Day and the Schism's tag team, whose name's escaping me right now, as kind of make him look like a credible threat. But to beat the leader of Schism clean the way that he did, it just I understand that maybe I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. I'm trying to justify maybe Joe Gacy's getting ready to go to the main roster and he's going to lose on the way out, but that doesn't make much sense.
No, that's not happening. I mean, they just got shirts and match. I mean, I have the shirt on right now. I mean, matching trunks, and I don't think so, man. I think that was just a miss.
Yeah, I don't. And it's one thing, I know that was a big knock on CM, again, talking about AEW, but when CM Punk joined AEW, the whole big thing was he's not putting anybody over. He's, he's going over, but you got to win. I know you have to win some matches. So when you do put somebody over, it's going to mean something. And I don't think that's necessarily the case here. I think Kofi Kingston has won matches. He's the current NXT, one half of the NXT tag team champions. He can afford a loss. He can afford a loss to an up and coming faction. And I thought that's what he was there for. I thought that's why they were there, was to put over these younger teams and these younger groups and make some new stars on the way when they do drop the NXT tag titles. But I don't know. Maybe there's a grand plan in mind that we don't know about, but I was not a fan of Kofi Kingston beating Joe Gacy clean on NXT.
Yeah. And of all people. And the most disappointing part was that Schism has been hot right now. They've been doing these backstage segments. They've been confronting people, and they confront the New Day backstage, and Ava Raine is looking hot as ever. The tag team dudes are looking good. Gacy's looking strong. They are talking some mess. They're clowning, but they're praising. It's good. You need that rub, right? To get rub from the vets. That's the point of New Day being there. And when they challenged him to a match, I already felt like ugh, because as I keep saying, I hate when champions lose. Even if it's not for the tag team title, you can't just have your champions lose. So having Kofi, lose, or I wasn't for it to begin with. And then when he challenged Gacy of all people, I was like, okay, he's going to challenge one of the other guys. So be it if he beats one of them. But I agree with you, man. That just like took the air out of Schism. And I don't see why Schism, why couldn't you just get a rub on them, like have them talk mess and then have Gacy wrestle somebody else and maybe build to that? They didn't have to wrestle. WWE does that a lot where they can't build in that sense, where when they bring something up, they have to happen right now. Like you didn't have to have them wrestle right this moment. You could have them wrestle in the future.
Yeah.
Build it. Have them keep having backstage segments with them. Like, oh, did you see? I just beat so-and-so again. Schism is strong. You guys are next. We're coming for you. You know what I mean? And have Kofi and them do their little gig and ha ha ha. But he lost clean too, which was
that was the big thing. You could have. I would have been okay if Kofi had beaten him, if there was some outside interference or.
But why couldn't the Schism interfere? Why not end it in a DQ? Why can't they're not playing that? Like he's about to beat him, and then they beat the bananas out of him. I don't. Yeah. It was the only miss in NXT, and it was really, really weird booking. It made Joe Gacy look weak, and I don't think he's going anywhere. The Schism's here to stay. They're building them. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Like it felt really confusing for them to lose so soon after they had just gotten some steam under them, and they seemed really hot. And I hope this doesn't take the wind out of their sails. I hope that they continue building Schism and rebound from this, move on, and pretend like it didn't happen, like Raw did with the Smackdown match with Cena and KO. Yeah, just pretend like it didn't happen and let's just move on. But
or at least get the win back. Yeah,
that was a bad decision.
And another bizarre, actually, I said it was the only miss. That Grayson Waller Braun Breaker segment. I don't know if that was. Did they not write it? It's like sometimes you can there's a lot of AEW guys that can bullet point it and come out and deliver a good promo, and you don't really need verbatim what you're trying to talk about. These guys did, and I don't know if Braun Breaker just doesn't know how to act, because I think he was supposed to come off like a smug, right? Like sarcastic. I think that's what they were trying to get at. So if you guys didn't watch or whatever, he basically starts off by coming out and he was just like praising Waller and basically telling him he did a great job by doing the whole Goldberg routine, Bret Hart thing. And he was just like, yeah, you got me. Yeah. You won. Yeah. You're smart. You have 1,000,000 points. And Waller even seemed a little off on it.
Yeah. He seemed off. He was like, what is happening? Like, is this supposed to be happening right now? Like, where is the guy that beat me up and that had that big mental edge? And it didn't make any sense. The whole segment was bad.
It really was. It was like 15 minutes, or not even that. It was like 5 to 6 minutes of like awkwardness, and then Breaker beat him up, and that was it. It was it was a huge miss for me. I don't know what. It just shows that Braun Breaker is not ready for the big stage yet. I mean, he was green when he got the title, but he's definitely got to work on his acting and delivery. Take a note. I did like that they were calling him Goldberg and such like that because he fell for it. Although Wardlow was more the Goldberg of the two. But yeah, man, Braun Breaker. I mean, like I said, I think he's going to beat Waller next week because it's not that big of a card. It's just kind of like a New Year's Evil, blah, blah, blah. But I think Vengeance is where he'll drop it, hopefully to Carmelo. But that segment, definitely, I was watching it like confused. I felt uncomfortable for them. And the crowd didn't even know how to act.
Yeah, the crowd didn't know how to act. It felt off. It was just, I was watching it and I'm just like, this is live TV, and these guys are fumbling and they're all over the place. And Grayson Waller, all of a sudden he went from this happy-go-lucky, I got the mental edge, to all of a sudden he's pissed off and he's angry. And I will say I will give Braun Breaker some credit because I haven't really paid much attention to Braun, but he's pretty damn athletic. And that move he did where he leaped over the top rope and took out Grayson Waller, I was like, damn, this guy can go. Like, this guy's a beast. He's a stud. You don't see a lot of that happening from a big guy. Usually it's big guys can't really move all that well, but he seemed pretty agile. And Yeah.
I
So
get
that's
nervous now. I get nervous now when I see
oh,
these big guys do it because of what happened to Homeboy and
with Top Dollar.
with
Yeah.
Top Dollar. When he did it, I saw him bouncing off, and I was like, "Oh no, 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 no!" Oh, he cleared it. Okay,
Yeah.
like I'm worried now. It's sad. Like
Oh
not in a
yeah. I'm
bad way.
worried.
Like in a oh, please don't hit the rope, dude. Like
Yeah.
please
Please
make
don't
it.
mess this up. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. But I thought that was the highlight of the segment, and because at
Mm-hmm.
the end I was like, okay, this he can really like he can go. He
I
can
mean, he's a
go. But
Steiner, man. I mean, they were
yeah.
athletic dudes. Yeah.
And that was another thing. Grayson Waller brought that up. He was like, "Oh, you're only here because of your dad." And he was like, "Well, I love my father. Of course, I'm here for my." I was like, "What?
Yeah, it was really weird. But
This is
then he
a
like
horrible segment."
it
Yeah,
really was. But then he flipped a switch because he was just like, "Yeah, you love your dad. You're only your dad," or something like that. And then he was like, "Oh no,
yeah,
I love my daddy, but now you ain't gonna
yeah.
say
You
I am
crossed the
him.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, how dare
Oh my
you?
god.
Now we're fighting." Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awful, and it really ended NXT on a sad note. But overall, I still thought it was a good
Yeah,
overall
and
show.
I like Grayson Waller. I think he's gold on the mic. I think this was more of a Braun Breaker problem than it was Grayson Waller
Oh
because
yeah,
Braun looked like he didn't know what he was supposed to be doing. Grayson
yeah.
Waller looked confused at what Braun was doing. It was like they wrote their own segment or they wrote their
Hmm.
own promos, but they didn't talk beforehand. So we'll just go out and wing it, see what happens, and then
Yeah,
that's what happened. So
that's what it felt like. It was a miss, and it was sad too because with our weekend review, that was how we ended it. It was kind of a bummer. But I
yeah,
do got to say, WWE, even though you didn't like SmackDown that much, Raw, I think, was pretty good. NXT was good. And I at least think WWE's off to a great start, unlike last year. The Triple H regime is in full
oh
force. And I look
yeah,
forward to 2023 with Rumble and Mania coming up. And
this
yeah,
is the
man.
best time of the
So
year for
it is.
WWE.
It
You got the
100% it
Rumble,
is.
yeah,
It's time.
Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
It's time. And with that said, I just want to make sure everybody knows if you're listening on Apple and Spotify to 5-star us, put those reviews in. You guys are listening to us even on Spotify and Apple. It's continuously the same amount of people, if not more. We're gaining, which is a positive. So click that button, man. That's all it takes. And if you're listening to us on Twitch and YouTube, support us as well. Hit the like button, make comments, and watch us live. You know what I mean? I know we're earlier in the day, but if you're sitting around not doing anything, listen to us live. I love that you guys end up listening to us afterwards, but live is fun because we can answer questions. We
Yeah,
want some sponsors as well. So once again, we want that Diet Coke money. We're looking for it.
yeah,
My man here with his DDP yoga shirt. Look at
that's right.
representing
Yeah,
DDP. Come on, man. Get that
yeah,
sponsor going on. We want that Blue Chew money. We want those tees. Look at that. Pro Wrestling Tees right there. That's a hat from Pro Wrestling Tees. Good stuff. They make good stuff, and I'm always rocking a wrestling shirt. So let's get that going. And with that said, we are going into a new segment today. And I know we are the positive train, and this isn't going to be a negative segment, but this is a segment we like to call Fans Are Fickle.
Fickle. They're fickle.
it tells no
Yes,
lies.
no, he does not, and he never has. But fickle wrestling fans and myself and SSSSSSP are going to tell you why we think fans can be fickle in this new fun segment, Shooting Star Press. As always, unless I mess up, we are starting with you.
Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. Everybody hated John Cena when he was the champion. Everybody did not. He would be booed out of the building. The ECW one night stand, that crowd comes to mind. They did not like John Cena. He was the face of the PG era, but fans just did not like his character. It was the same thing. Roman Reigns said it. It's the same thing. It's like missionary. It's the same thing over and over and over. That's how John Cena was. And now all of a sudden he's coming back. And he's announced on the last SmackDown of 2022, December 30th, he's going to team with KO. Cena Claus is coming to town. And all of a sudden, the fans just love them some John Cena. They're excited to see him. They can't wait to see. They can't wait to see what happens. We've missed John Cena. We love John Cena. The pop he got when he came out was incredible. The pop he got at SummerSlam 2021 was when he came out was great. The build to that against Roman was really good because the fans wanted to see John Cena. But when he was in the WWE, when he was there full time, when he was there permanently, they did not like him. And that's an example of wrestling fans being fickle.
Fickle. They're fickle.
And you know what? I'm going to continue on that. Let's go
Yeah.
back and forth here. This could be fun. Cena
All right.
does return. The fans are digging him, right? They're loving him. They're all about it. You know, all of a sudden now they've always been John Cena fans. They weren't the ones who said John Cena sucks. And then John Cena comes out and they are upset by it. And not upset at the fact that he took the win. Not upset at the fact that he only wrestled for 2 minutes. Logical reasons? No. They were upset because John Cena looked old. How dare John Cena, a human being who's not a vampire, who has to age like every one of us, walks out with a bald spot on his head. And that was all I heard about John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
These fickle fans. I want him. I miss him. I never said he's old with the bald spot. Get him off my screen.
Get him
I don't
off
even
my-
want to see him at Mania
Cut
anymore.
the hair. Yeah,
How
shave
dare
it, just
he? Why,
shave it.
yeah. Why wasn't he just bald? Everybody looks good bald, right? I mean, not everyone can pull off the shooting star press. It's amazing to me how not only are fans super fickle, but they're super fickle about the weirdest things. So once again, fans, you hate him, you love him. Now he's too old. Wrestling fans are fickle.
Fickle. They're fickle.
I love that. I'm gonna do that throughout. Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. And off of John Cena, let's move over to the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is only where she is, and we talked about this earlier. Charlotte Flair is only where she is because of her father. Charlotte Flair is she just needs to go away. We don't want Charlotte Flair. She's a hostage. She's gonna break her father's. She's holding the title hostage. She's gonna break her father's record, and she's gonna win the most titles. She doesn't deserve it. She's only where she is because of her dad. She's not even that good of a wrestler. If her last name wasn't Flair, she would be a mid-carder at best. She may not even be in the WWE. She may have been released. She comes out on Friday night. That pop she got, all of a sudden she's a babyface and the fans love her. Because that's an example of wrestling fans just being
fickle. They're fickle.
That's right.
And it's funny with that because these fickle fans, I like it too because it's like I hate Charlotte Flair, but you know who I hate more than Charlotte Flair? Ronda Rousey. So I'm gonna go ahead and be okay with this victory just because I hate Ronda Rousey so much. How can you dislike somebody so much? And by the way, speaking of fickle fans, remember when Ronda first came around? Those fans loved her. They loved Ronda Rousey when she was in that match. Oh my gosh, she was the next coming of everything. And same thing with Charlotte Flair. These fans are insane. I go on TikTok, I go on social media. If there's two people that get more heat than anybody, it's Ronda and Charlotte. And it just blew. I remember talking about Charlotte coming back. I literally predicted this on TikTok about a week ago, saying she was going to come back before the end of the year and beat Ronda. She did that. I was getting so much flack on it. Oh, I don't want to see Charlotte again. Oh, gross. Oh, Charlotte. Oh, her music hits. That chick got the Rock type of pop. And I know I'm for it. I like Charlotte. I think she's a huge star.
I do too.
I'm all for that pop, but holy can't cow fans, you guys could not stand her. She comes out, beats Ronda, and these fans cheer her, and they're so happy their queen is back. My queen has arrived. Wrestling fans are fickle.
Fickle. They're fickle.
And I want to jump on Austin Theory. Theory is another one.
Go.
Now, here's the thing, right? I'm not saying wrestling fans have been all on board on Theory, but there is something that wrestling fans are on board for, and that's young talent getting pushed. In WWE, we don't ever push stars. We bring back The Rock. We bring back Charlotte Flair all the time. Boo. Oh, wait, she won. Yay. But we bring back all these old people constantly. We don't ever, Charlotte's a lesser of two evils. Okay, you sound like you're voting for the president. We are literally like all against, these old stars winning. We get a clean Theory victory over Seth Rollins. And who pops out of the woodwork? These fickle fans. Why is Seth losing? How can Theory beat him? Theory's not a star. Theory, yeah. I want talent to be pushed. I want young superstars. Unless it's against somebody I don't like, then I don't want them to be pushed at all. And why would Theory be pushed? He's not good anyway. Let's not even give him a chance to become a superstar because I'm a fickle fickle fan.
Fickle. They're fickle.
And just to feed off of that, there's those fans out there too that think that Theory got to where he is because of Vince McMahon. And he was Vince's handpicked boy, and Vince is gone now. And so you got to earn your stripes around here. And it's no, what? Like, no, the guy can go. He's a damn good wrestler. I'm excited for I think he needed a character change. I will agree with that. And I'm kind of digging this edgier Theory, and I'm curious to see where they go with it. But, on the flip side, I want to talk about Seth Rollins too, because he's somebody who has been a victim of fickle wrestling fans. And, when he was the King Slayer, when he was the Beast Slayer, the fans, he was the top babyface in the industry in all of wrestling, and the fans just turned on him. They just turned on him. Maybe a lot of that was booking. I'll give credit where credit's due. A lot of that was his booking and the way he cut his promos. He was very similar to he was that golly gee shucks folks. I'm so happy to be back in River City, Iowa, or wherever we are this week. But he was still the best wrestler on the roster. He could go with anybody. He was the top babyface for a reason, and the fans just turned on him. And then and that's what happened. They got mad about the outcome of the Fiend versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, because we can't take the title off of Seth, but it's too soon to put it on Bray. So let's end it in a whatever it was, a disqualification or a knockout, or it was something like that. They ended it abruptly. Yeah, and that was the end of Seth Rollins, because that caused people to hate Seth Rollins. That caused people to hate the Fiend. Now, both of those guys, Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, are universally loved by the fans. They sing his theme song when he comes out. They love his character. They love that annoying laugh that he does.
They love his outfits all of a sudden. All of a sudden, he can do no wrong.
He's the drip god. And this guy was just a heel like 3 weeks ago, but all of a sudden, he's a heel. Then he turns back to being a babyface because the fans loved him, because they are
fickle. They're fickle.
Yes, sir, they are. And I want to say a disclaimer. This isn't all fans. Not all wrestling fans are fickle. Not all of you, especially not the ones who tune in to Two Dudes with Attitudes, a wrestling podcast.
That's right.
Those fans are not fickle. They know what they love and they stick to it. But we had to do that segment, and dang, that was a fun segment. What say you? I think that was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And, also just before we turn fans away, I consider myself a fickle fan. I was one of those people that was like, I'm not digging Seth Rollins as a babyface when he was holding the title and he was the King Slayer. I was kind of like, okay, like he needs a change in his character. And then all of a sudden they changed it, and I'm all for Seth Rollins. And it's amazing that when characters change, Roman Reigns, he's another one. I mean, there's so many that fans hated him. Then he has leukemia and everybody loved him, and then he comes back as a heel and everybody loves Roman again. And it's just, I mean, I think it's fun to cheer the heels and boo the baby faces, but at the end of the day, we all look like fickle fans whenever that happens. And I'm including myself in that.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's how I was going to end it, saying we are all...
They're fickle.
We're all fickle. I'm the same way. And mine was Roman. If I would have looked back at myself, if 4 years ago MWO saw today's MWO, I'd be slapping myself around. I was furious when Roman was getting wins at Mania. Furious. Why are they shoving this dude down my throat? Oh gosh, this and that. And now I'm all about the bloodline. I'm surprised I don't have a bloodline back tattoo going on right now. I'm all about the bloodline. Roman could do no wrong. Solo, Sammy, the Usos, they can literally slap kids in the middle of the ring, and I'd be like, yay! I mean, scripted, by the way. It wouldn't be a real slapping, but I do not condone child abuse. But I'm just saying, like, they could do the worst of worst. They could kick a puppy, and I would be like, yeah, that puppy, take that. That's what you get for going with the bloodline. It's funny how fans are fickle. We are fickle fans. All of us are.
Yes, 100%. We are
fickle. They're fickle.
We all are. And it's not a knock. It's just something that we've been noticing lately, and we had to call it out. But I think we did so in a positive way. We try to be positive. We love all of our fans. We love all wrestling fans, and we invite all wrestling fans to watch us and subscribe and tune in, because we're and we're going to do the same thing on Friday with AEW. So be on the lookout. We got some real fickle fans down there.
I don't know if I could do fickle for AEW. It might come off a little too real. That might offend some people. I gotta figure that one out.
Yeah, we'll keep it G-rated. We'll try to at least.
And as always, that's the end of our WWE Wednesday, where we did all week in review. We talked about us fickle fans. And once again, do not forget to tune in live every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Twitch and YouTube. Get those questions going. It makes it a little bit more fun. If not, continue watching us. Like I said, our numbers are consistently consistent, are going up. That means you guys are enjoying the show. So I appreciate you, but show us that love by liking it, by following us, and by giving us those 5-star reviews on Apple Music and Spotify. We appreciate you guys. We're glad that you like looking at us. We're glad that you like listening to our opinions, because you can listen to anybody's opinions and you're choosing to listen to ours. So from Two Dudes with Attitudes, I appreciate you. As always, I'm Mr. MWO.
And I'm Mr. Shooting Star Press. Follow us on TikTok and anywhere you get your social media. And yeah, that's the show this week.
We'll see you Friday, man. We'll see you Friday. AEW Friday, where we talk about those fickle fans.
That's right. Tune in. Don't miss it. We're out.